Hi everyone. Today I have another story for you. Last time I read you a book about George Washington and we talked about the American Revolution and these ideas of freedom and equality that were new in America. They had been thought about by philosophers before, but they had never really been put into practice. So the American Revolution happened at the right time in the right place for there to be a forum for these ideas to actually be put in place. But we also talked about how freedom and equality did not extend to all people during that time. And so today I'm going to read you a book about another great president, Abraham Lincoln, who continued to move the country forward towards those ideas of freedom and equality to include everyone. So here's a book today called Looking at Lincoln, about President Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president. One day, while walking through the park on my way to breakfast, I saw a very tall man. He reminded me of someone, but I could not think who. At the coffee shop, I ordered pancakes. They were delicious. We paid with a Lincoln, the $5 bill, and 2 Washingtons, the dollar bill. And then I remembered the man I had seen looked exactly like Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Who was he? To the library to find out. Abraham Lincoln was such an amazing man that there are over 16,000 books written about him. I wanted to read them all, but I got lost in photos of his unusual face. I stared at one of them. He was born in a small log cabin in Kentucky on February 12, 1809. The family was poor. Abe was a dreamer. He did not like to do chores. He loved to read books. He was lucky. His stepmother loved him like crazy, and he adored her. She looked so stern, but she let him dream and read as much as he wanted. He went to school for only 1 year, but he was curious and he taught himself many things. He had hardly any supplies, and of course there was no electricity. Abraham spent many hours reading by the fire's glow. One day he was kicked in the head by a mule, and he slept for 2 days. Then he woke up and grew up, and he decided he would be a lawyer. He did like to argue. He lived in Springfield, Illinois, and he got a reputation as a smart and honest man. People called him Honest Abe. He had a family that he loved very much. His wife, Mary, who was very short, and 4 sons. They laughed and had lots of friends, and they even ran around a little wild. I wonder if Mary and Abraham had nicknames for each other. Like, did she call him Linky? Maybe. Abe worked hard and became interested in the government, and he decided he would run for president. On March 4th, 1861, he was inaugurated President of the United States of America. On the day he was elected, Mary probably made his favorite vanilla cake, but maybe he forgot to eat his slice. He was often too busy thinking to eat. Lincoln wore a very tall hat. With his hat on, he was 7 feet tall. He wrote many notes and he stuffed them inside of his hat. What was he thinking about? He was thinking about democracy, the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution that was created by the founders of this country. He was thinking about freedom and doing good for all of mankind. And maybe he was also thinking about getting a birthday present for his little son. Maybe a whistle? Or pickup sticks? What did Abraham Lincoln love? He loved his dog Fido. He loved apples. He even had a painting of apples on his desk. And he loved Mozart. But mostly he loved people. His family, of course, but he also loved all people. And he wanted them to live well. He loved justice and truth. The country was in trouble, and it was headed for war. After hundreds of years of slavery, people were saying enough. There were courageous people who were fighting for liberty, like Sojourner Truth, and Frederick Douglass, who had been a slave until he ran away to the North. Both of them met with Lincoln, and they spoke of the troubles of slavery. Lincoln hated slavery, and he wrote to a friend, "If slavery is not wrong, nothing is wrong." During his presidency, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, the first official step toward freeing millions of slaves. It was a very difficult time to be president. The Southern states, the Confederacy, wanted their own country where slavery would be allowed. Lincoln said no. We must stay as one country. The Northern states, the Union, believed that slavery should be ended or abolished, and so they went to war. War is a terrible thing, and the Civil War ground on and on. Lincoln gave a famous speech that said, "A government of the people and by the people for the people shall not perish from this earth." Finally, the war ended in 1865. The North had won. The people had suffered greatly, but now it was time to rejoice and start to rebuild the country, with Lincoln leading the way. But it was not to be. Him and his wife went to see a funny play, and he was shot. Lincoln had been rocking in his chair, and people carried him across the street to the home of a friend. He died when he was 56 years old. The news spread. People across the land wept with grief for their fallen leader. But a great man is never really gone. Abraham Lincoln will live forever, and if you go to Washington, D.C. in the spring, you can walk through the cherry blossoms and visit him. At his memorial, you can read the words that he wrote near the end of the Civil War. "With malice toward none, with charity for all." And you can look into his eyes. Just look. Thank you for sharing this book about Abraham Lincoln with me and for listening. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.